Hey there! Welcome to Season 2, Episode 7 of the Paula and Joe Show. Here's a quick rundown of what you need to know. It's 24 minutes of raw business analysis and change talk, time-boxed, unedited riffing. And when the countdown timer buzzes, we're done. I'm Joe Newbert, and as always, I'm joined by my BAFF, Paula Bell. How's it, Paula? Please tell us what's up in this episode.
Hi, Joe. It's going well. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good.
Well, we have a great individual joining us today, and we're going to talk about habits, good habits, bad habits, maybe even habits in between. Who knows what's going to come out of this session, right? Frequent and frequent habits, all the good stuff. And today we are joined by Alex Papanaoum. And Alex is a peak performance coach and tiny habits expert with Thriving Life for You. He leverages a holistic coaching approach that helps you put more things into action so you can level up your productivity without relying on your willpower and making every ounce of your time and money invested worth it, and sleep at night with ease, knowing you are doing your best every single day. Welcome, Alex.
Welcome, Alex. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, John, Paula. I'm happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to hear any questions you have and help out anyone with the questions about habits and motivation. That is such a complex topic sometimes.
Yeah, I just before we start, I know Paula's going to get in with a question. Before we start here, I was thinking back. We've done a few episodes, as I say, we're on episode 7 now. So we've done 6 before this, and if I think back to the types of things we cover productivity, health and wellness. We've sort of talked purpose, meaning, and beliefs. Trying to get better life integration, work-life balance, and I reckon habits probably underpin all of those, right? And I'd even suggest that our habits probably make or break us, that they're that significant in our life.
Yeah, I mean, habits are, if you think about it, underneath almost everything. Mostly in our work, we have to do more of routines and difficult to do behaviors. But if you look anywhere else and just around business, um, it's basically just habits. Like there are only certain things that are difficult to do behaviors that you should focus on motivation and things like that.
Yeah, critical.
100% agree. And I think that's a great segue into the first question I have as you talk about how habits are what we use every single day. What effect does the power of habits have on our everyday success, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, from the way we speak and how impactful our speech and body language is as we talk, all the way to the way we think and the actions we take based on our beliefs. Habits are basically all pervasive, as you said, both in the living room and in the boardroom. So, like, from the simplest example of uh, if you're gonna have a good diet, right, and you try your best with your exercising, your diet, sleeping, and so on, you are gonna be more productive. Like that's a given. I don't think I need even to explain the why and the how and everything. I'm pretty sure because, especially given that your audience is listening to this whole season and it's all about self improvement and things like that. I really don't think I even need to explain why that helps with productivity. But even in our personal lives, when we are able to think before we speak, before we say something that like the way we express it might hurt another person unintentionally, or it's not exactly what we meant. Uh, that's an example. Taking a pause before we speak, or listening to another person instead of waiting to reply. Like there are so many things that both in our personal lives, the success of our personal lives, and in the business world is just it's there. Habits are there.
Yeah, 100% agree. I like what you said because there's something that I've been saying for quite some time now. Listen to understand, not to respond. And a lot of times we don't take that pause, we don't take that moment because we have this habit of, especially when you're, like you say, the boardroom versus the living room. When you're in that boardroom, you feel that you just got to get your voice in there, right? You just got to, as soon as that opens, you just have to get it in there. And sometimes just taking a step back and just listening and giving somebody else a chance to say what they need to say or feel that they have to say so that that voice is heard is something that's great. And I love your exercise piece of it too, because I'm a group fitness instructor. So I'm all about
Mm.
exercise, and exercise does make you feel better. I actually think it's the exercise that actually helped me to be sick. And it's in a good way because I've been fighting this sinus thing for like 2 months, and I was finally able to really go hard and exercise last week. And now stuff is just opening up. So it's
Mm.
sort of like I'm cleansing. So there's definitely, I personally believe everything that you're saying right now, it does hit. And having those type of habits to where you can be successful every day, something as simple as exercising is great things to do, or something as simple as actively listening is a great way to have that powerful effect of success every day in your life with those positive habits.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It's like, and I see that every day in my work with people because I have two parts in my work, right? It's the helping people ramp up their game in order to achieve more without burning out in the process. But I also have this other part where I help corporations minimize their losses with all kinds of initiatives and learning and development things they're trying to do that just fall flat. And it's like I see it on a personal level. What does the person can do to change his habit and make it easier for themselves, right? Instead of using motivation to do something, to make it an automated process so they can use that additional willpower motivation for other things. And on the corporate level, well, it's like companies just do learning and development initiatives, and there's like it's basically the problem child of all corporations, right? Because it's like sometimes you get great results, some other times you get nothing from them. You do a sales training, you see your salespeople doing something for 2 3 weeks, and then that's it. They just go back to their old habits because that's the problem. It's usually not the training itself, it's long term, the lack of long term sustainable implementation of what is learned, right? So it's everywhere, and that's why that's the reason why I bring it up to people and do this work, because I really believe that there's a big misunderstanding about yeah, just because of the lack of implementation in so many things.
Yeah. Um, I'm I'm listening to this. Your words at the beginning. I don't know why, but they surprised me a little bit in the sense of as I was expecting you to talk about a particular, I guess, a particular type of habit, a particular category of habit, but you broke it down to the words that you speak, your body language, the thoughts that you have, the action, and I can see how these things are all connected now, right? Because obviously your actions are based on your thoughts, and your thoughts are based on the narrative and the voice that's playing in your head. And even when we write emails, sorry, yes, please.
And I just wanted to interrupt you right there because like I mentioned beliefs. What are beliefs? If you think about it, they're basically repetitive thoughts or bundles of thoughts. So it's something you repeat again and again. Like I have this belief of in our health, like it's all about balance. it's all about finding the right balance. And that's a repetitive thought again
Yeah.
and again in my mind. And it's what you would call a belief. So
Yeah.
what is that repetition? What is it? It's a habit, right? It's a
Yeah.
mental habit.
Yeah, it is. So I was thinking when you were talking about the words, you're talking about the words that you speak, but also the words that you think. Now I'm thinking
Yeah.
about positive affirmations, right? It's like about giving yourself that pep talk all the time, so that you think more positively and you're not thinking about the negative or the unlikely impact. You're not sort of bringing your worst fears, and really we're programming our DNA is sort of what it's sounding like to me. We're trying to almost get it down to a cellular level that these ways are just ingrained in us.
Well, basically, yes. Although about positive affirmation, that would be like a totally different podcast episode.
Okay.
Um, because like positive affirmations is something that yes, there is a lot of talk that it can be helpful, but it has to be done in a specific way,
Okay.
and sometimes it can cause the opposite effects.
Okay.
Like, so yeah, it's another subject for sure, but yeah,
Okay.
uh, yeah.
Okay. But well, it's good to know that. I mean, I'm learning something every time we have an exchange. But the question I want to move on to from that is, so I mean, obviously, there's the obvious stuff like sleeping and exercising and sort of having the basic like habits, but in your promise of being able to achieve more, right? What sort of daily habits would be the ones where we could, if we get right, perhaps get most gain from? What sort of habits should we look to make sure that they're solid?
in achieving in business or achieving in personal life, because that's also another question.
Holistically.
Holistic.
Holistically. Yeah.
Well, for sure, sleep. Finding out, like creating uh, some habits around sleep. That would be one of the most important things, because it affects your decision making, it affects your mood, it affects so many different things, that it's just like basically if you can uh, find your way around sleep, that's one of the most important things, regardless of what you're doing and how you're going about your life. One would be sleep habits. And I'm saying sleep habits because there are multiple parts to it. It's like what will be your before sleep habits, what will be your waking up habits. Like, so that's why I'm saying
Mm.
habits and not a specific thing. And there are many information about various behaviors that are good around sleep online. Like Dr. Michael Breus has very good resources online about some good things to do around sleep. Um, and then for sure, listening,
Okay.
the pauses, just those small pauses. That's a habit that is a very good first step for improving listening. Just giving the opportunity to pause, and just if someone stops talking, to not necessarily like try to fill in that gap, because you feel that that anxiety, oh, like what's next now, to just stay with that pause, because sometimes people start saying more. And also
Absolutely.
yeah, and also when we are being asked questions, right, to just, or being told something, just take a pause before we reply. So that would be a first tiny habit, you could say, that can improve over time. Well, relationships.
Yeah. I really like I really like. So I mean, in many ways, you picked one. I said holistic. You asked me sort of personal business, and I feel like, well, the pause one definitely fits in both, but I feel like I've got one for each situation here. Yeah, that's really really useful advice, actually.
Yeah, I think like for sleep in particular, actually, that's also for both because yeah, it's very important for both, and some people don't think of that. They put it in a personal health category, but yeah, it's like people cannot understand what effect it can have to not have a good night's sleep on your decision making capacity and how you perform within a day. Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Alex. So we talked about the effect the power of habits will have on your success. We talked about a couple of habits that we could focus on that would give us the most gain. How do we go
Yeah.
about starting and maintaining habits to give them the best chance of sticking? Now, you said with the belief piece of it, beliefs are essentially those things that you routinely think about and you do. So it's sort of like that routine, something that you constantly have in your mind. But how do we start to maintain habits that will give us the best chance of not only sticking, but also ensuring that we're successful holistically, professionally, and personally?
Okay. Give me a moment there so I can turn on the lights because I see like I look like a vampire in this. I just noticed. Just give me a second.
Well, it was bright out there when we started.
Was
Had some,
bright. Yeah, the
yeah, it was
light
bright.
changed very
Right.
quickly, didn't it?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't expect that to happen, that's for sure. Okay. Now that's
Now we
not the
see
right
you.
Yes.
light. That's certainly not the right lighting because I didn't expect the natural light to go out, but that's what we have. It's unedited.
It adds to the fun.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so you asked me how should we start or maintain habits to give them the best chance of sticking, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay, so there are some components to habits that are important. First of all, so one thing is that we use in our daily life too many external notifications, external prompts. We use alarms, we use sticky notes, we use our partner telling us, hey, you forgot about doing that, or our colleague. So we have a lot of external prompts, and all of like we have so many, especially with alarms and notification and everything. There are so many that it's too easy to not pay attention to. So moving from those notifications to act to that we would call external prompts to action prompts, which are basically using some part of your pre-existing routine slash behaviors in your daily life and using that as a starting point to remind you to do X behavior that you want to make into a habit. That would be the starting point. Uh, For example, I use flossing the toilet to remind me to do push ups. And it works pretty well because then I wash my hands. Anyways, I would wash my hands. So I like floss the toilet, get on the floor, do the push ups. Of course, I'm not in the public toilets, but do the push up, wash my hands, and I'm done. and I'm like basically exercising every day for, well, I do quite a few push-ups this way. So that would be one thing. Another action prompt, um, like waking up in the morning, um, finding something very specific, like my feet touch the floor after I wake up. Um, like you have, it's not just you waking up. Okay, let me start writing. You have like the uh, time between waking up and being able to say write something in your journal. You do some things in between. You get up, you stretch, maybe you drink some water. So you have to find out when is that last part of this bundle of behaviors that we call waking up, that you can use uh, as a reminder for journaling. So, like in my case, it would be after my feet touch the floor, I will pick up my pen and start journaling. Right. So I use an action and a very specific part of that morning routine to remind me to do a certain behavior that I want to make into a habit. That would be one of the most important things. And also, uh, just remembering to wire them into your brain by celebrating them. Like the behavior you want to make into a habit, you want to make sure that you actually tell yourself, good job. And if you're not that kind of person, just be like, okay, you don't need to be
Mm-hmm.
extravagant. You just need to find what works for you. Like for me, I have some time where I'm like, yes, like
Mm-hmm.
good job, Alex. But not for everyone, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, just finding your way to celebrate it every time. That's a signal. That's a clear signal to your brain that you want to repeat that behavior. That this is something you should remember more often to do. So yeah, that would be the second part, and the third part is starting small.
Mm-hmm.
And starting small means starting really small. It cannot be more than 30 seconds. So that's why, like when I mentioned the journaling, it was picking up my pen. It wasn't uh, after my feet as a floor, I start writing one page in my one full page in my journal. Is picking up my pen. I don't need to do the whole behavior. I don't need to write one page, 2 pages, not even one sentence in my journal. I just need to pick up my pen. And if I feel like doing more, then I'll do more. But it's important because that's the way you make sure that you wire it in. You make it so easy that you can basically not say you cannot say I don't have the time to do it, because what you're doing is you've planted this small seed of the behavior, which in this case for journaling is just picking up my pen, but you're growing the roots for that little plant. So, yes, maybe you don't see this huge growth, which would be the writing 10 pages, but it's already there. You're already building a very strong root system that helps you keep this habit on the long term. So that's the main things.
That was wonderful. I'm not sure if you heard, but
I did.
sadly this thing chimed in. But um, I mean, I like to think that I'd done a bit of research and reading into habits over my life. You know, bought and read a couple of books. Um, I I have good habits and bad habits. Many of the good ones stick around. You know, I exercise every day. You know, I go for a run, and that one has stuck. But there are other ones that other good ones that have left me. I used to meditate every day. I think I did it for about 100 days on the trot, but then for some reason it just stopped. And as I hear what you said and try and relate it to how I did things, I think I did things, my things were more around a schedule. Like, um, it's this time, so I'm going to do this thing. And often that time would get interrupted, you know, like somebody else would come along and take that time, or there was something more pressing that needed to be done at that time, and then that habit changed. Whereas now I'm thinking, like with my run is triggered when a particular thing finishes. So I have a
Mm-hmm.
morning meeting, and when that morning meeting finishes, I run. So I've got that trigger and association, which is what you're talking about with the roots, which has actually worked really well. And I think about the stuff that I try and find time and schedule into the day, and that stuff just slides. So that's
Yeah,
been really eye-opening for me to now know the difference between why the one worked and why the one didn't. I mean, thank you.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to be as like to just give as much practical details and things that people can start with. So I'm very happy to do that. And yeah,
Yeah, no, it was no, I really appreciate it. It's been an mind-opening episode. It really has. Um, we're going to ask you for your social details in a moment, but before we do, I know that you named a couple of resources, and I must say I looked at these names, and they're all new to me, which is a great thing because that's the whole, or one of the big points of this series, to learn a ton of new stuff. But are these authors and books? Are they blogs I need to subscribe to? Can you sort of tell me a little
they
bit
are
about these people?
um, the list I've sent you. Uh,
BJ Fogg, Michael
yes,
Pantalon, Brooke Castillo, Tony Stubblebine, and Richard Boyatzis.
yes. So except Tony, the rest are authors. Tony is currently the new CEO of Medium, but previously he was running a platform called Coach and Me, and had a publication on Medium called uh, Better. Well, my brain lagged there. Better Humans.
Okay, that sounds good.
Uh, Better Humans? Well, yes, Better Humans. And I've written there before, and in general, it's like they have very good writers and like beyond himself. But yeah, even the things he's writing is very interesting. The rest are authors. I included Michael Pantalon there because one thing with habits is that if you don't really want to do it, that's a good pathway to not having it stick,
Okay,
right?
yeah,
And Michael Pantalon created a method that is based on motivational interviewing, that you can basically find your reason why you want to do something, and even flip around the script from I should do this to I want to do this. So when you make it into a want, then you can start working to making it into a habit more effectively. So that's why I have like BJ Fogg for habits, Michael Pantalon for turning a should into a want, so you can make it afterwards into habits. Brooke Castillo is really great on all things mindset and how our thoughts influence our emotions and behaviors and so on. And yeah, It's and Richard Boyatzis is more coaching specific, but he has done some amazing longitudinal behavioral studies and neuroscience that just given a whole different level into understanding how we can achieve more. And yeah.
Okay. No, thank you. I mean, that sounds like some fascinating reads. So we're definitely going to pop those in the show notes so people can go get the names and spellings of these authors and find out some of their works. Thank you. Paula, over to you.
Well, yes, thank you again, Alex, for joining us. A lot of great gems. Joe, you did a great job of summarizing a lot of those gems, actually, of just your personal story of how you had that your aha moment on why certain habits stick and why they haven't. The whole topic around, your beliefs, your thoughts, the way you speak, your body language, how all of that feeds into it. And then I did like how you did mention also around sleep. That was an area that I struggled in. And I don't really think people truly understand how important it is to get sleep and how that does impact everything you do. We tend to put that as a lower priority. I think it's okay once in a while if you have things going on where you have, less sleep. Like if you're on vacation or you're working on something and you have those moments. But there are some people who are just really sleep deprived all the time. And that's just not a good thing. So I do appreciate all of those tidbits and gems that you provided. Where can people find you to stay connected if they want to continue to follow you and learn more about the services you offer and the thoughts and knowledge that you bring to the community?
Well, my website would be one place, thrivinglife4you.com, on email and LinkedIn, or even on the phone. I like talking with people on the phone. We didn't have I didn't send them over, but people can find them on LinkedIn. They can find my phone numbers. I have a US one and a Greek one, so like people can reach out there. I just enjoy talking with random people before they become known people on the phone.
On the phone. Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you, Alex. We really do appreciate all that you've given us today in this pod. And thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your support too. You can subscribe to the Paula and Joe Show on your pod player of choice, be it iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. And if you enjoy the show, then please do help pass the pod by leaving a 5-star rating. You can follow at 168FM on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. That's the words 1, 6 and 8, not the numbers. And you can keep the riff going too by leaving your comments over on the blog. We'd love to hear your take on building habits that last. Alex, Paula and I will join you there. Until then, take care and keep growing.